Hello guys, welcome to another video. Today we are going to make this amazing slide in pop-up. You can see that in this pop-up there is a nice slide in and slide out effects which is looking fine, and also if I click outside it is closing automatically. So in this video we will learn how we can make this kind of pop-up with slide in and slide out effect with our HTML, CSS and a little bit of JavaScript. You can use this pop-up for many purposes, from making a simple menu to creating some discount for your visitors. In this video we will see how you can make this whole process, and if you are new to my channel, please do subscribe. It will support me a lot, and enjoy the show. So as you can see that here is my HTML file and CSS file and JavaScript file. So in CSS file I already added Google fonts. So let's create a boilerplate in HTML file and let's give it a title of slide in pop-up, and in the body let's create a div with a class of container, and here let's create another div which will contain our button. So let's give it a class of btn, and under that div we will have our button. So let's create the button, and here let's create a class with the open button, and let's give it a name of click me. So after that button div, let's create another div where we will have our pop-up. So let's create a pop-up class also. So in this div let's create another div with the class of pop-up overlay. So in this pop-up overlay it will create our overlay which we will see in a minute. So let's create another div with a class of main pop-up, which will be our main pop-up, and in this main pop-up we will have our content. So let's create a div with a class of pop-up content, and in this pop-up content we will have our content. And first of all, the content we want is our cross button, which will be trigger for closing the pop-up. So let's create a span with a class of close button, and in this span we will have a cross sign. So we can create a cross sign by using and times. That will create a cross sign. So after that let's create a paragraph. With this paragraph we will have some content. So let's create, and let's create another paragraph with some lorem ipsum. So let's create lorem 40. So we will have some text here. So that's it for our HTML. If I save and let's open it with the live server, and here you can see that there is our click me button, which will be the trigger to open the pop-up, and here is the cross sign, as you can see, which is the times, and it is the trigger to close the button, so close the pop-up. So what we can do is, so let's link the style sheet first, link style.css, and also add the JavaScript file. So app.js. So in the style, first of all let's gives it some reset. So padding will be 0 and margin will be 0, and also box sizing will be border box. So if I save, you can see that there is no extra gap. So after that, let's go to the HTML, and here let's say font family will be our Montserrat, and let's have a fallback font family which is sans serif, and also let's create our font size of 15 pixel. So after that, let's go to the container. In this container, let's give it a height of 100 VH and width of 100%, and let's create display flex so that all the content will come to the center. So what you can do, display flex and justify content center and align items center, so it will make all content in the center. So also what we can do is flex direction column, so that every content will remain in column. So let's create a background color, this color. So as you can see that that's our container, and after that let's style our button, which is this one. So let's say open button, and let's say font size will be about 1 rem, and after that let's say text transform will be uppercase, text transform uppercase, and also letter spacing about 2 pixel, and padding will be about 1 rem, and for the left and right let's have some 2.5 rem. If I save, you can see that. So after that, let's go to the cursor pointer so that we can click it. So if I save, now you can see that we can click it. So what we need is, after that, we need to style our pop-up, which is this one. So first of all, let's go to the pop-up and say pop-up will be position absolute, and width will be about 100%, and height will be about 100%, so 100 VH. So that will have all the screen, all the window. So as we can see that this pop-up content is containing all the window. So let's create also a background so that we can see that background, let's say aqua. So you can see that that's the pop-up, but we don't want this pop-up background now, so let's comment it out. So after that, what we need is, we want to set the display of this is the flex, and justify content center and align items center. And if I save, you can see that all the content of the pop-up is now in center. So let's go to the overlay section. Let's check it, what was the class for the overlay. So you can see that that's the pop-up overlay. So for the pop-up overlay, so let's create a background first. background color will be about, let's copy the background color, and here height will be about 100 VH and width will be 100%, and also position will be absolute. If I save, now you can see that this is the blackish, which will be the overlay for the our pop-up. So after that, let's go to the main pop-up. So here in the main pop-up, let's create a position of absolute, and right will be about 0, because we want this pop-up slide in. So we want to have this pop-up in this position. So for that we need to give it right 0, and also let's say height will be 100 VH and width will be about not 100%, it will be about 30%, not 30 actually, let's say 50%. Okay, so it will remain in 50%. So let's have that index of 1, and background will be about some aqua color, and padding will be 30 pixel for the top and bottom, and 30 pixel for the left and right. For the left and right, let's say 20 pixel, and line height will be about 1 rem, and display flex, and after that justify content center and align items center, because now you can see that the content is in the top. We don't want it in the top, we want it in the middle, so that's why we used flex and justify content center and align items center. So also let's give it some, so if I save, now you can see that that's our pop-up. Actually it will be like that. When we click the button, we will make it functional in a moment. So let's go to the close button, which is this cross button. You can see that here. Let's style it. So let's say close button. In the close button, let's say position will be the absolute, and top will be about somehow 1 rem, and right will be about also 1 rem, and font size 2 rem, and cursor pointer. If I save, now you can see that that's our close button in here, because we used absolute position, and from the top and from the right also 1 rem. So you can see that there's the position for our button. So what we can do is we can use a border. So let's say border 0.6 pixel solid, let's say white. Okay, if I save, now you can see that that's our border, and for some room, so what you can do is padding will be some say 10 pixel. You can see that that's our border, and let's also give it some hover effects dot close button hover, and here let's so let's say the background of the button will be the white. So if I save, now you can see that the background will turn into the white. So let's give it a transition will be 0.5 second is all. If I save, now you can see that there is some smooth transition. So that's it for our close button. So let's go to the pop-up content, which is this content. You can use any kind of content and any kind of design. So let's give it some simple design. Let's say for the pop-up content and paragraph here, let's say font size will be about 2 rem and line height 1 rem. Oh, that's too much. Let's say 1 rem, 1.5 rem. Also here, let's say 1.5 rem or 2 rem here. So that's fine for now, as you can see here. So that's it for the design purpose for the CSS, as you can see. So let's make it functional with our JavaScript. So before that, let's remove this pop-up. Just saying this pop-up display will be the none. If I save it, there is no pop-up anymore. So let's make it functional. So for the JavaScript, as you can see here, for the JavaScript, let's grab our content first of all. So first of all, let's grab the open button. Open button document dot query selector, and here let's grab the open button by the class. Let's check the what is the class for the open button. As you consider, the class was the open btn. So let's give it dot and open btn. So let's also grab the close button, and for the close button, as you can see here, we have this class which is the close btn. And after that, let's grab the pop-up, the whole pop-up, and I believe there is a class of just only pop-up. Okay, and once more, which is the main pop-up, and let's name it main pop-up. So here what we need to do is, first of all, let's add a event listener to our open button. So let's say open button dot add event listener, and it will be a click event. And also what we need to do, we need to make a function. I will make an arrow function. So here what we need to do is, let's check it first of all. So let's say console.log and say test. So let's open our console log here. So if I click this button, as you can see that there is our test. Yeah, that's working fine. So what we need to do, we need to add our style here. So now in previously what we did here is, you can see we set the display of our pop-up to none. So what we need to do is, here we need to set it back to our display flex. So let's say pop-up dot style dot display will be flex, and let's also test it. As you can see that that's working fine. Whenever I click it, it's making the pop-up and showing us. So after that, let's also make functional our close button. So what I can say is close button dot add event listener, and it will be also a click button, sorry, click event. So here let's create a function, and in this function what I need to do is the opposite of our open button, which is display flex, and here you will do display none. So let's check it out. So it's working fine. Open button, let's check for the close button, and it's also working fine. So let's add our animation, which is the slide in, which is the topic for our this video. So this pop-up will slide in from the right to left. and will arrive here. So for that, what we need to do is we need to set our, so what we can do is we need to set this pop-up display to none to flex, so that we can see what we are doing. So if I display flex, the pop-up is here. So what we need to do is we need to this main pop-up, you can see that, which is this pop-up with the content. In this main pop-up, let's say transform translate, let's say 10 pixel. If I save, now you can see that it's now going 10 pixel to right. If I give it 50 pixel, now you can see that it's going 50 pixel to right, so that we need to scroll. So if I give it person, so let's say 100%, sorry 100%, now we can't see it, but if I scroll, you can see that it's now going 100% to right. Okay, if I make it large, you can see it. That's our screen. We can't see our pop-up here because we made it transform x 100%. That's why it's going 100% to right, and here is our pop-up. So we need to make this pop-up right there. So also what you need to do is we don't need this scroll here. So for that, what we want to do is here in the pop-up, let's say overflow hidden. If I save it, now we don't have to scroll anymore, and let's give it back the display none. Okay, so if I click it, we can't see it because our pop-up now in 100% to the right. Okay, so we need to make this pop-up back in here by saying that what we can do is we can say that this transform translate x, that will be there. If I said transform translate 100%, it will be right 100% out of the screen. So that's how we can animate these things. So actually for that, what we can do is we can add an animation. So let's create our keyframes. So keyframes, let's make it a name for slide in, and for 0% transform will be 100% from 100%, and when we will have our 100% animation, it will make the transform translate x will be 0. So we made a mistake here, not 100%, it will be translate x 100%. Okay, now what we need to do, we need to add this animation, add these keyframes to our main pop-up by JavaScript. So how can we do that? We can do it easily. Let's say main pop-up dot style dot css text, and here what we can do is we can write css as we write in our style sheet. So let's write animation will be slide in, and it will be 0.5 second duration, and it will be ease. So after that, let's create another, which is the animation fill mode, and it will be our, I think, forward. Yeah, okay. So if I save and if I click this button, now you can see that this slide in animation. Okay, that's looking fine. So let's create the slide out for this close button. Now if I close this button, now it's doing the snapped, and we need the slide out animation. So how can we do that? We can do it easily. So let's create another keyframes name slide out for the slide out, what we need to do, we need to do opposite of this slide in. So here you can see that the transform is 100%, we need to make it 0, and for 100% we need to make it also 100%. We save, and let's add it to our event listener here. So what we can also do is we can copy this from this event listener and come here and paste it here. And what we need to do is here we need to make it slide out, and all other thing will remain same. So if I save, if I click it, it's sliding in. If I click close button, it's not working. Why it's not working? Because you can see that we have here in the close function, in the close event listener, we have two comments. First one is we are displaying the style is none, so pop-up style display none, and second one is the slide out animation. So actually when this command is running, the pop-up style display none is doing its work before this animation will happen. So in this two command you can see that for the animation we need 0.5 second. So to complete this animation we actually wait 0.5 second. Then what we need to do, we need to display none. Okay, so how can we do that? We can do it by using our set timeout function. So set timeout, and it will take two parameters, and first one will be a function and second one will be a time. So let's create a function first, and in the function what you need to set is we need to set the display none, and it will run this function after 5 seconds. So let's copy the 0.5. so actually here we will write in millisecond. So in 500 millisecond means 0.5 seconds. So if I save, that's working fine, and that's also working fine. So let me recap once again. Actually what is happening here is, as you can see that for this animation to complete we need 0.5 second to wait. So that's why we need to run our set timeout, and here we are saying that after 0.5 second run this command, and that's it. And that's how it will work. It will animate in both ways, slide in and slide out. So let's also create the functionality if we click in overlay. Now you can see that if I click overlay in means the outside of the pop-up, it's not closing. We want this function, we need to add event listener to our window. So if I say window dot add event listener, and here it will be a click event, and here let's also have our function. So if you click, we will run this function. So let's test it out. Console.log. Let's say test. So if I come here and inspect to the console log, you can see that if I click in the outside, so if I click outside, it's console logging our test. So it's working fine. So you can see also if I click inside the content, it's also giving us the console log test. As you can see here, we don't want that. We want to active this function only we click outside of the content but in the overlay. So how can we do that? So we need to check a if else statement here. So let's pass a parameter here which will be e. So e dot target, and if the target is our overlay, so let's say document dot query selector, and it will be our overlay. So let's say pop-up overlay. So if I click and the target is our pop-up overlay, then what we need to do is we need to close this pop-up. So we already wrote our close function here, which is the close button event listener. So what we can do is we can copy this. We need to do the same for our window click. So if I save it, so let's check it out. That's working fine. If I click inside the overlay but outside the content, here it's working. So let's check again. If I click the content, it's not closing, as you can see, because we are checking here that if the target, which is the clicked, is our overlay, then what we need to do, we need to close this pop-up. Otherwise we don't need to close this pop-up. So that's why when you click the content, it's not closing. And that's it. So that's how you can add the slide in effect with the pop-up. So actually, if you want to make the slide from the left, you can also do that. So let's say for that what we need to do is, we need to make it the position of the pop-up is left. So let's give it left. And also what we need to do, we need to translate the X in negative direction, which will be this way. So also here minus 100% and minus 100%, and that's all what we need to do. So if I click, it's coming from the left side. If I close, it's going back. So if I come here, now you can see that. You can use it from the left, from the right, as you want. Also you can make it responsive by using media query, but that's not the topic for today. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more this kind of video, please let us know in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe. And thank you again for watching this video. I will see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye, Khuda Hafiz.